Hi, welcome back to the Primal Lifestyle channel. And today I've got an interview with a bit of a difference. It's someone I know from my past who I've noticed they've written a book, a fantastic book I've actually downloaded it myself and have started reading it already. So let me introduce my guest today, Miroslav.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Hi, Carl.
Good
Thank you for
afternoon.
having me.
So welcome to the channel. And today we're going to talk about your journey. It's interesting because we were talking just before how our journeys are similar but gone from a different way. So the book in question that you've written is obviously The Aging is Optional, reversing how I reversed 10 years of biological aging and what you can do starting today. So it's a really engaging book. So Miroslav, firstly, tell us a bit about your story leading up to writing the book.
Well, the story it's very simple, and it started pre-COVID, uh, but it's peaked during the COVID of being locked up at home, drinking a lot. A bottle of gin on a weekend wasn't enough, and the kilos went up and up and up, and suddenly was really facing the big question, and that's what I have in the book, calling the uh, mirror image story, seeing myself as a extremely obese, not fit, not being able to do anything, and the question was like, when I'm going to die.
Mm.
Because that was not about healthy survival style, and suddenly you still have a young kids and you need to take care of them, and the question is really like, this is not sustainable. And yeah, the story in the book is that I was actually running for the meeting in Lausanne, and like the was late. The lift was too slow, so you run the stairs, but then
Yeah.
you are anyway 15 minutes out of breath, not fit for the meeting, so you could have wait for the lift. And I say, no, that's not going to work. And actually I have some experience experimenting with intermittent fasting and water fasting, but then that time we moved to Spain for my son golf academy.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, enough is enough. I mean, especially in Spain, you can't go with that belly on a beach. Uh, so I said, okay, so let's do 7 days water fasting, and actually I did, and I lost 10 kilos in the first week. I know it was mainly water, but from 135 to 125, it felt great, and then you continue.
Yeah.
And by the few months down the road, you start saying like, okay, so that's going well. And you combine, but not really scientifically, you combine things like, yeah, you eat what you think it's good, but I've committed myself to do at least 1 hour of exercise every day. I start walking and some push-ups and that sort of stuff. But then I start reading, and it's like, okay, so this is not that easy as I thought. So let's do some more scientific approach. And yeah, intermittent fasting, they said like you can eat once a day, whatever you want. Yeah, but not how much you want. So
Right.
there are some limits, and then you think the calories in, calories out, and then suddenly the principle it's clear, but it's not everything.
Right.
And then you start listening to people, and then you also realize that there are some evidence of what we call biological aging, right? So it's not the same what you have in a passport. It's a kind of how your organs and blood cells are old, which at the beginning was not ideal. Probably I was much older than my passport age.
Right.
And then
Okay.
I start saying, okay, so let's do that. Let's do that not only on a scale testing, but let's adding some more metrics to that and follow up closely. Yeah.
Okay. So what was the biggest you got to leading up to this change?
You mean the size?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Triple
So
XL, 135 kilos. So I'm 187. So it was 135 kilos. Now I'm 95.
Okay,
A little bit
and you're
less.
quite a tall gentleman, aren't you? You're
187.
187 centimeters, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll
Centimeters.
flash up. I'll flash up for the people in the UK what those measurements and
Right.
weights
Sorry for
are.
that.
No
I
problem.
don't know. I don't know the stones and inches.
Yeah. I'll do the calculation. Don't you worry about that. Right. So obviously you ballooned. What other health issues were you suffering at that time?
Well, it was continuously in last years. I had. I mean, I've let my doctor prescribe me some antidepressives because of the stress from work. I was snapping at home, my kids, and it's like, no, they have nothing to do with my mood. So I need to get better. I've been at counseling or the a psychologist, coaches, and he started questioning my relationship with my family, and I was like, no, it's not what I want. And I had a pain in like almost everywhere, but it's migrating, right? So it started in the morning when you step on your feet, and it's like if you are walking on the shreds of glass, and then it's moved to arms, and then fingers and shoulders.
Yeah.
And then you ask the doctor, and it's like, yeah, well, try the heat patches and ibuprofen and also it's like, I mean, that time I thought it's normal, right? So always they ask me what's the difference between being 49 and the next day 50. Yeah, when you go 49 to sleep, it's like tomorrow I have to do something with the pain. And when you wake up 50, it's like, well, probably it's normal. You need to live with that. And you sort of admit yourself you aging, and you see other elderly people having a pain, having a walking issue, so you understand that's normal,
Yeah.
right? So you need to live with that.
Yeah. You kind of
And
accept
then
it. Yeah.
yeah, and then you start to do the transformation, not per se for the transformation itself, but then you realize, hey, my pain it's gone. So what happened? So what was the reason? And then you start googling and you start listening to the podcast, and then all the good advices from the people, and then you realize that's going against everything
Yeah.
the big pharma and big food sectors are telling us, right? So I
Yeah.
thought that croissant with Nutella is the healthiest breakfast because it's every day on a commercial.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And
I always say healthy people don't make profits for pharmaceuticals. So, they want you to be sick.
they want to keep you in as a customer.
Yeah.
Healthy people are not their customers.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that.
Yeah.
So you obviously started doing intermittent fasting, but according to the book, as far as I've gone down on the book, that's not just the only solution. And you have an area that you refer to 6 pillars of reversing aging. So do you want to touch upon any of that?
Right. I mean, it's the foundation which I have constructed later on for the book, because
Right.
it's not the food, but the food is the key, because
Right.
food keeps you inflamed,
Yeah.
and mainly, I mean, we can reveal that's the sugar, right? So whatever you do eat, don't eat sugar or starches.
Yeah.
It's killing you.
Kill the carbs, not the
Yeah,
not the health.
kill the carbs. Yes,
Yeah.
it's if I count correctly, it's calls for the 75% of the all mortality. I mean, people don't tell you that, but it's your heart disease. It's coming from sugar. Your diabetes is from sugar.
Yeah.
Probably many other diseases, which we know called as a civilization diseases, are mainly produced by that, and it's the
Yep.
inflammation in your body.
Well, I've always said, Miroslav, that if you look at all the addictions in the world, if you talk about alcohol addiction, tobacco addiction, sugar addiction, other sorts of drug addictions, they're all plant based. They're all then because they convert to a glucose, because they're carbohydrate. I've never heard of anyone addicted to steak yet, so I'm quite happy to stick with meat.
Well, I mean, you could be addicted to steak, but it's a healthy addiction, right? So
True.
we have everyone is addicted. It depends on whether it's a healthy addiction or an unhealthy addiction. But
True.
I do believe that reading a book, it's addiction as well, or could be, or sports, running, it's an addiction, but it's a healthy one. So
Yeah.
we don't criticize that. But yes, you're right, and basically our body, it's the carbs are not essentials for us to survive.
Yeah.
We are built to burn fat,
Yeah.
like very few of the animal species. We are starving on that. It's our cells and mitochondria can be 25 to 30% more productive on fat than it's on sugar. So, I mean, no brainer, right?
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
our diet is built on 75% carbs. That's what
Yeah.
the industry tells us. That's the healthy diet.
Yeah.
I mean, alcohol aside, right? So that's bad on itself, not only from the sugar content.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's the first pillar. It's the food. But the second one, to be effective on burning calories and striving when you are older, you need to have muscles.
Mm-hmm.
Muscles will hold you together when you are older. If you think of playing with your grandkids football, you're not going to do it from the wheelchair. So you need to have a uh, muscular bone structure that holds you together, and cardiovascular,
Yeah.
right? You can't do that without healthy veins and heart. So
Yeah.
that's the movement, and I mean the structure of the movement. Everyone is in a different part of a life, and everyone wants to have a different composition. So something else is for us in our age, something else is for a healthy triathlete, and something is for the 75-year-old. I mean, you see the quote in the book. So people are planning to retire at 65. I plan to sprint it when I'm 95.
Yeah. Brilliant.
And
Brilliant quote.
there is underlying evidence to that. There is a Japanese marathon runner, and she holds all the records on any distance of running. And she runs when she was 72, she ran a marathon on 3 hours 40.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's incredible.
that's beyond belief, right? So
Yeah.
it is possible,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I believe in that, and I'm going to do everything in my power to be in the same shape as she is.
Yeah. Well, there's a friend of mine on the carnival community who's making a film at the moment, and he's interviewed a rancher in the States. And she's called Maggie, and I think she's 87, 88. And because she's pretty much had a meat and exercised up from working at the ranch, she is so strong and fit. And I've seen some of the clips. It's phenomenal. And you're right. If you have the right muscle fed by the right food, longevity is not no guarantee, but longevity is obviously vastly improved.
Just being on X with David Sinclair, probably heard of him.
Yeah.
80% it's deserved, 20% genetics.
Mm.
So 80% you can actively manipulate of whether you're going to live longer or not.
Yeah.
So that brings me back to the third pillar. That's the mental state, because some say that it's up to 60% of what you're trying to do on a food and exercise, supported by the mental health. And that's the thing that you suppose, and that's why you have the blue zones, because they're a great community, and then you're living together with the togetherness with other people. That promotes the healthy mental stage, which is combined with the good sleep and other aspect. But that's very much forgotten when you talk to the people with the diet, right? So you need to have the right mental stage to actually do that. And Huberman Lab, so Andrew Huberman, he's just had a podcast on the dopamine.
Yeah.
Interesting part. is that people say that when you go running or exercise, you go to gym, you release a dopamine 200 times the basic level. But if you go to the gym and you are not looking forward to or you hate that move, the exercise, you're not going to have any dopamine.
Yeah.
So that's how our body responds to a different signal. So very important to have a protocol which will improve your mental health.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Yeah, and that's what I because I mean, I'm from the digital level. I'm 1 and 0, so I need to have everything. So feeling for me, it's something like, okay, so I might feel it wrongly, but if it's on a paper and it's digital, I believe it. So that's why I'm saying, measure yourself, get yourself a kind of smartwatch or any kind of fitness tracker, get yourself tested, because then and then you can compare before and after. It's not, take a picture, which is great evidence, but measure your heart rate, how it's progressing with your diet and with your exercise. In me, it was phenomenal. Like in half a year, you go from 85 to mid 50s, right? 55 heart rate. That's what I thought I should be. I wasn't.
Right.
Blood sugar. So I have regularly, I take for 2 weeks of the continuous glucose monitor to know how the different food affects my blood sugar. Right. So when we talk about low carb diet, it's not necessarily for everyone, like going strictly 100% carnivore or without sugar or keto, but it's you can find the tricks to not have the blood spikes, and you can test it on I mean, sometimes I thought I have a very healthy dinner, avocado toast with egg, right? So a bit of cherries and fantastic. I mean, it's like you see it all over the internet. Avocado is healthy, egg healthy, right? It spikes like a candy.
Wow.
Because the white bread. So since then I have eggs and avocado without the bread. There is a more on that the debate, but that's basically the pillar of measuring stuff. That helps you to understand. And again, there might people at a different stage of life, especially females, that they can feel it because they used to listen to the body. I was not listening to anything what my body told me.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate of listening to your body because when I went carnivore, at first I was eating a lot of meat, and then I was finding I was going days without eating because I was listening to the body. I was eating when I was hungry, not when I was told to eat a breakfast, when to eat a lunch, when to eat a supper. I was suddenly realizing I'd cut down to one meal a day on a regular basis, which is intermittent fasting anyhow, isn't it? By chance.
And it's the intermittent fasting. It's not a self-serving recipe for everything. Because again, if you are bodybuilder, you want to have a different protocol than if you are elderly person who might have a different need, and that's the individualization, and that's why you need to have the blood tested, and probably even more. So I did the mitochondria testing and epigenetic and all the stuff. So, and it also gives you great insight on what you eat as a supplements, right? So I was overdosed on spermidine because I was told it's good. Right, so I'm spending hundreds of dollars on spermidine, and I don't need it. Right. or one chapter in the book. It's also about what is normal, right? So you have your blood and hormone screen, and the doctor tells you, oh yeah, for your age it's normal, and then you realize, but hang on, actually I don't want to be on my age and normal, because my average population of 55, it's much worse than my dad when he was 55 and my granddad when he was 55. I'm aiming
Yeah.
to be with my hormones on when I'm 40.
Yeah.
So don't supplement me on 55. Just supplement me when I'm 40. Intermittent fasting is the promotion of the natural recovery or autophagy of the cells. Right, you need
Yeah.
to give them a time to recover. If you constantly spike your sugar, so with the morning breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, they are actually 12, 18 hours constantly under pressure of using the glucose, the energy, and that's not healthy. They need to have a little bit more time. Spermidine supports that. Long run supports the autophagy, so you might have a different protocol when you're in a different stage. But that's the principle.
Yeah.
Your cells needs to rest, and it's another peril. You don't grow when you are practicing, when you are training, when you are in a constant physical, psychology stress.
Yeah.
You grow when you are resting.
Right.
Your body recovers when you are resting. I didn't understand that, and actually, I was trying to run, and I was running like 7 days a week. I started a year ago. It's not because I mean, I've never run, so running was the last desperate moment how to catch a train, right? So
Yeah.
that was not part of my protocol. But I was start seeing a girl who was a marathon runner and pretty fast. So like shit, I want to do it with her. So I bought my running shoes. June, so a year and something ago. I understood that there are running shoes. It's not normal shoes. That they're specially made. And
Yeah.
then 6 months later, I've understood that it might be like volume shoes and fast shoes and training for something. I mean, completely different world. I thought it's cheap running, but it's actually cost me more than my golf clubs. And since then, I was running like really every day. I did manage to run 10K under 50 minutes ahead of my time because I gave myself a time till 10th of April, which is the birthday. But I
Yeah.
did it in November, and I ran half a marathon in December,
Oh, well
much
done.
ahead of. But then something happened, and the progress wasn't there, right? And then I listened to running podcasts, and they say, yeah, my dad when he was in a later age and triathlete and marathon runner. Then he realized if he running less and have a more rest in between, he starts running faster again. So I did include some day of when I didn't run, and I did some yoga and some light exercise, but I didn't run 10K. And then indeed, now I'm getting back my speed. So yeah,
Very good. So
resting is important.
another area in the book that I was interested in was, I think you titled it "Inflammation: The Silent Killer," because obviously people like me on a primal style diet, the inflammation. I thought it was the weight was the issue. The weight was a consequence, and the
Yeah.
inflammation I was suffering was causing me my health issues. So, would you like to sort of touch upon your views on the inflammation side of it?
I'm convinced that the inflammation, I mean, you have a good inflammation as well and bad inflammation. Good
Mhm.
inflammation, when you exercise, you have the little tear in your muscles, which is again the repair, and then it's the growth factor. So that's okay. But then the bad inflammation is mainly from the food and from the sugar and starches.
Yeah.
That's my belief. I'm not a medical doctor, but
Mhm.
that's what the evidence are. And once you understand this, then you understand that all your arteries clot by cholesterol.
Mm.
It's actually not because of the cholesterol,
Correct.
because you have the lining which get damaged by the sugar,
And it's the
and the
repair.
cholesterol is the repair
Yeah.
there. So they got it all wrong, but there are studies which are proving that on a strict keto or carnivore diet,
Yeah.
even people with a 70% of arteries blocked get better,
Mm.
which we've been told it's irreversible
Mm.
unless surgically made, right?
Yeah.
So it is. I mean, it's prime care for everyone, not to get to the point. But sugar causes inflammation. The body needs to send a white cells to repair, so that's your anti repair stuff.
Yeah.
And then consequently you are exhausting the self recovery of the organism, and therefore you don't have that much of time to clean up the bad cells, the ones which ultimately can cause a cancer.
Yeah. And again, cancer feeds off glucose.
Oh yeah. The cancer actually can't be fed by fat, so it needs glucose.
Yeah.
So whatever source of energy you have, just avoid the carbs and sugar.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least in the industrial version. So obviously fruit and vegetable and milk, it's okay.
Yeah. No, brilliant. I mean, I think even though we've come from slightly different perspectives on dietary, we've ended up with very similar results and similar. And I think your book, from what I've seen of it, really sort of hits home some of those points. So, but I'm just going to flash up your book cover in case people are looking for it. And I will put a link below in the description where they can purchase the book from yourself. But this quote here really for me was I thought was quite brilliant, and it's basically the wake up call. Rock bottom isn't the end; it's the start of the climb back to where you're meant to be. And I think that's a brilliant, because there's a lot of people. I'm a bit older than you, but a lot of people get to our age where, due to the Western diet and due to whatever it is, they've got themselves in a position and they think, well, that's it, I'm done. I'm just going to serve out my time. When actually, as your quote says, it's the beginning of the improvement if you want to make it.
I wish everyone that it's that never going to get there.
Yeah.
Right. So let's be clear. We don't need to get there, but because of it's not true, and 60% of the population, especially in the Western hemisphere, it's obese.
Yeah.
Then we have a candidate which needs to realize the same what we did.
Yeah.
And it's not the end; it's reversible.
Yeah.
But early you start, the better.
Yeah, because sadly for me, I've noticed when I analyse the traffic I get on my channel, 85 to 87% of people are 40 years or above. So they are looking for a solution from their bad health. I'd love to get younger people to think, well, actually, look what I'm doing to my body. Let's stop it now. But unfortunately, the majority of us tend to do that journey and then think, sugar, I need to, no, wrong expression. I need to change it.
No, and it's perfectly suits also our case. I mean, when we were young, we were invincible.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, nothing can happen to you. Parties in the morning, the next day morning, you have a 2-day stint in office, and it's perfectly fine. When you realize it's not everything so rosy, then it's usually quite late. In keeping your body in the original stage.
Yeah.
But it's not the end. But what I hate most, it's the 30 days diets on Instagram and lose your fat instantly. And this is the fat burning, and this is the anti-inflammatory curcuma or whatever. And I'm saying, like, well, I mean, I don't need anti-inflammatory because I don't going to develop the inflammation. Yeah. So you don't treat the consequence, you treat the origin. And that's what, I mean, you still have so many of bad examples and bad habits which are promoted on social networks. But I mean, I've been with my son in hospital, and you get a pile of kind of like those leaflets about healthy food, and it's still the 75% carb diet.
Yeah.
How bad is that? And it's sponsored by the major Czech pharma company.
Well, my late father, when he was a diabetic, and when he used to go into hospital for various tests, they'd give him ice cream and things like that. And he's a diabetic. It's like, and then they wonder why his insulin spiked.
Yeah. No. This is and you've mentioned insulin. We haven't been talking about the insulin, but that's actually it's a result of the poor diet. But insulin, it's I mean the critical hormone,
Yeah.
and it keeps in balance other hormones as well.
Yeah.
But it's the only growth hormone which tells the fat cells to grow.
Yeah.
If you don't have insulin, I mean, you're going to die ultimately. But if you imagine you don't have insulin, you can't get fat.
Mm.
And that's in the principle. They had a study about kids who has been surgically removed the brain cancer, and their function was compromised. So they had a excess level of insulin. They all been fat, inactive, watching TV, and they said like, no. So we need to do something with that. So they put them on strict diet of 500 calories a day, which is like starving.
Yeah.
And they still growing fat. So they mechanically cut the insulin production by half. All of them, happy kids, running around, playing basketball, reading books, mood improve.
Yeah.
So imagine that, and then we developing insulin insensitivity or resistance by having an excess sugar, because the cell suddenly starts responding to the insulin, and that's when you have the extreme of I'm on a diet but still gaining a fat.
Yeah.
And that's the vicious circle. So that's where people need to be careful.
And that's where fasting comes in good, because it gives you a chance to reduce the insulin.
You can reverse the insulin resistance. Yes.
Yeah.
It's not
100%
fast.
agree.
If it took you 10 years to get there, don't expect in 2 weeks to be back.
Oh yeah. See, the thing is, with the carnivore way, there's a lot of talk about creating ketones. You can only create ketones when you stop the carbohydrate coming into the body or creating the glucose.
Exactly.
Because your body then converts the fat cells into the ketone, which then the body then uses as its energy source. So
again,
it's all straightforward stuff.
Funny enough, I've ordered a keto continuous monitor, similar to you have a glucose monitor. So I've put myself both glucose and ketone. And I've been 3 days fasting, water fasting only. I had a sugar level okay-ish, like in the mids, but still I was not burning any fat.
Wow.
So after 5 days, which I was not fasting anymore, but I was eating a keto. Still, I was 0.2. So if you are above 1, you start burning some fat.
Yeah, you're
but
in ketosis.
the scale is up to 6, right? So I am 0.2 any day, any time of the day. And I was cycling for 2 hours. And after 2 hours, finally, my ketone production went to 1.2.
Right.
But why is that? Because I was insulin resistant.
Right. So the insulin was preventing the ketones being.
Because you are burning whatever sugar you have in the body, looking for others and producing an extra sugar, right? Because the body can produce the glucose, because you have a way to, because you need to have a way to have that minimum what you need. But that's how my body was compromised, and now it's okay again.
Brilliant. So if you were to give anyone that's been watching this and are interested, apart from obviously buying the book, that's the important thing for you. But what one bit of advice would you suggest for them to consider when they're looking at an option or a solution?
Well, it's difficult to say one, because as you mentioned, there are 6 pillars, and they are all holding you on the higher ground. But let's say, probably I would say the most revealing or shocking, which I didn't thought earlier, and that's the sugar and insulin resistance. Watch out for that. So your body, or sugar, it's not essential for your body to survive, to run. Even some triathletes, they can do similar results on long runs with fat only.
Yeah.
So don't overdo that with carbs.
Okay, so that's the first foundation step, is to manage the intake for your body that's using
Yeah,
it, and then
yeah.
so
Stay away from highly processed food. Don't eat anything what has a barcode on it.
yeah, I'm a massive advocate against ultra processed foods.
Yeah.
I always say, if it's got multiple ingredients, don't have it. I mean, you can have, if you're making yourself something to eat. I mean, I don't eat vegetables or salads, but individual ingredients put together is great. But if it's put together for an ultra process, then you've got a problem.
Yeah, exactly. You process it yourself.
Yeah, agreed.
The reason I'm not carnivore, it's because I was never big in eating meat.
Right.
So I would always opt for a different kind of food than if you would have something and a steak, probably would have the something. Otherwise, I don't think it's a bad concept.
So
Right?
you're more sort of keto then, are you? You're
I'm
more sort of low carb.
I'm low carb. Put
Yeah.
it this way. So I'm not entirely without carbs. I'm a runner. So I'm running fasting, right? So I eat once a day, going in the morning running, and I can do 10-15 Ks without on a fat only, on the previous day's food, and it's all okay. Everyone is different, and if you prefer meat, so be it. It's there's no harm, as long as we keep it whole food and not processed.
Okay, brilliant. What a great thing to finish on. So thanks again, Miroslav. Appreciate your time. Stay online when I stop recording, because I just need to go through some bits with you. But again,
Okay.
thank you very much. I will put details about the book up there. It's a brilliant read. I honestly can recommend it. And thank you all for watching the channel.
Thank you, Carl.